Good evening and welcome to the second test between Australia and New Zealand, coming out of Auckland and from Carlaw Park, where it's a fine day. The sun is shining for the first time since I've been coming here since 1971. No rain about, a beautiful day and quite a big crowd milling into Carlaw Park, which, though it's still wet by our standards, it's described by the New Zealanders as being a loose surface, but certainly the best Carlaw Park surface that I've seen in the last 10 years of coming here to cover rugby league tours. The telecast is coming to you on Network 10 throughout New South Wales and through Channel O in Brisbane and through associate stations on the O10 network. I do trust you'll enjoy the telecast. I have with me as the co-commentator on the match, Kerry Boustead, who really was the best kept secret in this Australian side up until Friday when the shoulder didn't respond and you had to pull out, Kerry.
That's right, Ray. The shoulder was injured about 2 weeks ago and it hasn't recovered the 100%, so I decided not to take the field and have the other players.
So your bad luck is good luck for Graham Quinn, and this is his first test cap.
Yes, that's right, Ray. Graham Quinn was pretty happy about getting the spot. He's not used to the wing, and I think he's going to look forward to it. He'll have a big game.
It'll be a good game, Kerry. I spoke about the ground. You're more expert on the ground than I am. Would you say that we're going to see a more open brand of football than we did in the first test?
It's all right. The ground's not as good as the Sydney ground, but it's a lot better than what we've had on the trip so far. And the rain's not there also, so that'll be a big help, and I hope the boys can use it to the best advantage.
Kerry Boustead is my co-commentator. I'm Ray Warren, and the second test is coming from Carlaw Park here, Auckland, New Zealand. And so the Australians going out onto Carlaw Park for this second test is the Australian side with only the one change. Graham Quinn in for Kerry Boustead. And the New Zealand side with Tony Cole in the second row, Kevin Tamati up to the front row, and Dennis Williams recalled to the side at 5/8. And so it's time on to the second test, and the ball going down towards Greg Brentnell, but taken by Chris Anderson. He's tackled just outside the 22 line by Tony Cole, playing in 11. Craig Young takes it up and tackled around the legs by Barry Edkins. The kick from Greg Brentnell, it'll be big, although he didn't really get onto it. He sent it high, and it bounces into the waiting hands of Fisher. And that penalty is against Australia for being inside the 5. And Dennis Williams will take the kick for touch. The free kick taken by Howie Tamati and Mrs. Broadhurst. And significant that Craig Young was the first Australian tackler in to meet Broadhurst, the man who sat Craig on his you-know-what in the first test. Howie Tamati. Williams switching the point of the attack. Running with it is Barry Edkins. Tackler is Craig Young. And they're 8 metres out from the 22 line. Broadhurst. Lost it. Picked up and sent away to Gordon Smith and eventually to O'Donnell. This is Kevin Tamati. He was one of the central figures in many of the controversial moments of the first test. Graham, long, lanky, lock forward, tackling machine, and that's the end of 6, and the first scrum of the test is about to pack down. How's it feel sitting up here as a co-commentator and not being out there, Kerry?
Well, I think I'd rather be there, that's for sure.
So Raudonikis feeds the scrum and Australia win it. And he's tied up by Dennis Williams. About 8 metres on his own side of the halfway, Raudonikis. That's Gary Darling, the Toots KB man of the match in the first test. Chris Anderson is dummy half. Rod Morris takes it up towards the halfway line where Tony Cole and Mark Graham make the tackle. And they're just on their own side of the halfway, the Australians. Through Alan Thompson, back to Craig Young. And Young with a strong run has actually taken play to the halfway mark. Raudonikis, Thompson, Cronin. And he got rid of Williams. Filipina hangs on and Cronin will play the ball. Very strong centre three-quarter. Rod Morris Queenslander from the Balmain Club. And referee Jack Percival says another 6 and a scrum to form just on the Kiwi side of halfway. One penalty in the match so far, that being awarded to New Zealand. It's Australia getting a clean heel from George Paponis and coming onto the ball. Dowling, when he put the ball down, and Filipina unloads the ball to Luluwai, and Luluwai is tackled there by Chris Anderson, who had to take the odds to coming off his wing, and a penalty goes to New Zealand against Anderson. Well, there must have been, according to Percival, a fist in the tackle, because Anderson had only just put the player on the ground. He couldn't certainly have penalised him for not getting off the tackled player.
I think that was the calling there, Ray.
So the free kick being taken by Tamati, the hooker, given to his brother Kevin, and they're just inside the 22-way line. Tacklers Rod Morris and Craig Young, the two front row forwards hunting as a pair. The Kiwis are on the attack, though, as it comes along a very deep back line and dropped, dived upon by Rod Reddy. Craig Young, Paponis, dummies on the outside to Dowling, and referee Jack Percival has given a penalty to the Australians. So Cronin coming over to endeavour to find the line. Australia have been in their own territory for the opening 3 minutes of this test match, but that was a good kick by Cronin, taking them 11 metres into New Zealand's half. Craig Young. Oh, a swinging arm, very, very much too high from Kevin Tamati. Young was lucky he just ducked his head in time. Nothing said. Nothing said. Paponis. Young. Beautiful play by Craig Young. That's Ray Price. Tackler was Broadhurst. Dummy half Paponis saying play it quickly. Rodonicus, Thompson, where's Cronin? Here's Boyd. Good tackle by Dennis Williams. Australia are 12 metres out. They switch the play. Craig Young dictating the tune. Gary Dowling. Dowling is held safely by the Kiwis. Right in front of the uprights. Being played back to George Paponis, Rodonicus, Thompson, a chip for Cronin. Going in as Bretnell. He'll fly very high, but well taken. Very well taken by the New Zealand wing three-quarter, Kevin Fisher. That was a good save, Kiri Bowstead.
Yes, Ray. Bretnell's very good at chasing and whatnot, and I think he did very well to pick that up in time.
So the Australians really getting their first opportunity to attack and looking good. Craig Young calling the tune out there, very much so at the moment. Well, that's a blunder made by Rod Morris. And the New Zealanders, from a line dropout, have come up with possession. You wouldn't see that too many times again in the space of maybe 10 years.
I hope we don't see it too many times today either.
This man is Tony Cole. Has a big reputation here in New Zealand, and it stunned the critics over here that he wasn't in the first test. Dennis Williams. Kevin Tamati. Intercepted by Cronin. Cronin's going to score. Yes, Cronin picks up the first try. Off an intercept.
Very well read there by Mick Cronin, I thought, Ray. Did it well.
So this prolific point scorer, Michael Cronin, has put the first points on the board off an intercept, and Australia lead by 3 points to 0. Here it is on the disc replay from Howie Tamati to his brother Kevin. And then it was that pass meant for the halfback Gordon Smith that Cronin got his left hand to and then juggled it in before going into score like that. So the attempted conversion for Cronin is a simple one, just off centre. And there it is, a further 2 points to the Australians, and they lead by 5 points to 0. And we're 8 minutes into the second test. Coming to you on Network 10 in New South Wales and via the O10 network throughout Australia. The head-on of the try again. And we're exactly at the 8th minute of the match. Brentnall retaliating immediately. The squat ball, if you like to describe it as that. Kerry Boustead, what did you think of it?
I think it was a good kick by Greggy, except that he found the fullback right down his throat.
I was seeking an opinion on the squattier type of ball, Kerry. You misunderstood.
Oh, sorry about that, Ray. Yes, it's a lot round the ball. It's more like the rugby union ball. I think we're just starting to get used to it now, in fact.
So this is Kevin Tamati meeting no fewer than 3 Australians in defence. His brother, a dummy half Howie, Graham. Blood from the nose area. And they're 10 metres on the New Zealand side of halfway. Ball has been lost and referee Percival is going to pack it down, but a touch judge in from the far side. He's indicating to Percival that the ball was stolen. And so Percival gives a penalty now. Well, there's something new that I've found from here at Carlaw Park. They have these local rules in New Zealand like they do in France. The referee there was going to pack a scrum down until his touch judge came in and told him that the ball was stolen. So we're back with Tony Cole. And he might have been a little bit lucky. He missed Craig Young coming over the top of Ray Price's tackle. This is Broadhurst looking to pass, but Raudonikis was there virtually praying that he would. Graham. And a variation of tactics from the NZers. Thompson went for a kick. Not like Alan Thompson. He would have preferred, I think, to come out of it looking a bit better than he did. As Anderson plays it back to Peponis. Craig Young takes it up. And they're about 7 metres short of the halfway, the Australians leading 5 points to 0 with 10 minutes of the first half gone. Les Boyd and Rod Morris having an unhappy time out there with handling. And New Zealand back in possession. Voluntary errors by Australia. Filipina taken high by Peponis. Rod Morris in the tackle. I'm a bit surprised that something wasn't said to George Peponis by referee Percival there. And some loose and scrappy play at the moment. As Fisher makes a run back to the halfway for New Zealand. Tackled by Alan Thompson and Rod Morris, and a penalty to New Zealand. Percival penalising the Australians for the tackle on that man.
I don't think Percival's going to let much get away today.
I'm sure you're right. The penalties at the moment running 4-1 to the New Zealanders. The man running the touchline nearest camera was in charge of the first test, Kevin Steele. And the man in the centre, Jack Percival, was running the touchline for him. So they've had a complete switch around and some loose play continuing. Although there's been some very heavy tackles in this test so far. Although most of these errors have been voluntary. Raudonikis to feed. It's a scrum won by Australia again, and Price from lock forward has the ball. 10 metres on his own side of the halfway. Dowling, Boyd, who had an ordinary first test, and will be looking for a big one from Les Boyd today, I'm sure. Craig Young. Graham around the legs and Broadhurst over the top. Peponis, Raudonikis. I gave him the electronic sales and rentals and national man of the match in the first test. Now Alan Thompson looking for the touchline, but it's well in field, and the captain, Dane O'Hara, getting his first touch of the ball. Well tackled by Alan Thompson. That's the fullback.
It's a top tackle by Boyd.
Kerry Boustead joining us on the O10 network coverage of the second test from New Zealand. Kerry out injured with a shoulder problem. His place taken by St George centre Graham Quinn. Gordon Smith picked up by Raudonikis. And possession changing hands very quickly. Thompson, Paponis, Cronin, Brentnall. Well, Brentnall was no more looking at Cronin than fly in the moon. The pass from Cronin was right on his chest, but obviously Greg Brentnall was under the impression that it was meant for the winger Graham Quinn. A complete misunderstanding by the Australian centre as they win another scrum. Cronin calling Dowling up. There's Dowling. Dowling going down towards the 22 line. Held by O'Donnell, the fullback. Alan Thompson's gone to dummy half. Brentnall is standing left. Raudonikis right. Cuts out ready, goes to Cronin. And Cronin is held about 9 metres out from the quarter-way line. Anderson, Young, the run round, Anderson again. And the Canterbury wing three-quarter is held a couple of metres out from the 22. Raudonikis wants it. Now Thompson. Beautifully passed and taken by Quinn and given to Brentnall. Brentnall's inside the 22, but a good tackle by the fullback again, O'Donnell. And I must say the defence from the New Zealanders, even in this first 12 minutes, displays more enthusiasm and dedication. Dowling switching it back to Raudonikis. Raudonikis puts on a spurt, goes inside the 22-way line. Tackle number 5. Played back to Paponis. Alan Thompson calling on Rocket Ready. Ready in 11, standing and offloading back to Graham Quinn, his St George teammate, playing in his first test. And Quinn has tackled 5-6 metres out. And the end of 6. Some good attack by Australia and some equally good defence by the New Zealanders, particularly the fullback O'Donnell.
I think the New Zealanders have tightened up in their defence a lot since the first test. They seem to be becoming their blind a lot better now too, right?
So Smith feeding the scrum, and the referee wanting it fed again. And a penalty to Australia for a loose arm. Craig Young, number 8 for Australia, having a top opening 15 minutes in this test match. He's been the conductor around the rucks. The kick by Cronin, beautiful. Straight between the uprights. Great kick by Cronin. And Australia increase their lead to 7 points to 0. 16 minutes gone first half. Goal kicking action of Michael Cronin. Head down. And very high and very true. The restart. Taken well by Brentnall. Got a nice pair of hands, Greg Brentnall. Anderson. About 12 metres short of the halfway mark. Paponis. Raudonikis. Thompson. Boyd. Boyd standing very wide. Obviously playing to instructions from Frank Stanton for him to virtually lurk out around the centres. That's where he creates a lot of trouble, Kerry Bowstead, doesn't he, Les Boyd?
Yes, he's perfected that. I think the standing out wide is where he does most damage. There's no doubt about that.
Thompson, Dowling, around 2, and he's into the open space. Dowling piling on the power, up to the 22, but a great tackle again by O'Donnell, the fullback. But Australia right on the attack. Paponis, Thompson, Cronin, Ready, taken by Filipina and loses it. Graham has it for New Zealand. Broadhurst. Got the pass away. And Raudonikis going through with Paponis. The referee, Percival, has held play up and given a penalty to New Zealand. I think the penalty is for obstruction by one of the Australians to a player not in possession. And it was a lucky let-off for the New Zealanders. That's Lulawai, the centre, who made a lot of good runs in the test match here a fortnight ago. Graham. Working it back towards the blind side. Could have nearly been picked off for shepherding there. Howie Tamati. Broadhurst. Tony Cole playing in 11. Craig Young around the legs and Rod Morris over the top. Broadhurst. Smith. Williams. Olsen Filipina. Good tackle by Rod Reddy. That's a great tackle. Dennis Williams calling the tune at the moment. Fisher over the halfway mark. And the end of 6. And a scrum a few metres on the Australian side of the halfway, with Australia leading by 7 points to 0. Their try scored by Cronin. He converted that try and has since added a penalty. Another Australian scrum win. No, it's recalled. Same tunnel. Raudonikis feeding. And a New Zealand penalty against Raudonikis for an incorrect feed. Raudonikis nods at referee Jack Percival, probably adopting the attitude it's best to stay on side with this gentleman for the time being anyway. Were they the instructions, Kerry, from Frank Stanton? Not to fall offside if you can help it?
No, I think just don't do anything that can incur a penalty, Ray.
So here's the New Zealanders trying to get inside the Australian 22. They haven't been in that area yet. Broadhurst. Craig Young seems to be everywhere that Broadhurst is.
Yes, I think Craig's got a bit of a payback today.
Graham. Going well. And it's taken by Fisher. He's going for the corner. Steps inside of Price. Gets the pass to Filipina, but he can't take it. Price has the ball for Australia. Well, that was good football by Mark Graham. Held the pass up, lofted it over the head. But then the Australian cover arrived in time. Ready. Quite a welcoming committee. Craig Young, the Kiwi supporters, stirred on by that attacking rush by the Kiwis. Young plays the ball. A kick for Cronin. Well in field. Dane O'Hara, the winger. Fullback O'Donnell has the ball. And the Canterbury boys, Brentnell and Anderson, combined to make the tackle. Back about 6 metres on New Zealand side of the halfway. It's Dane O'Hara, tackled by Rod Morris. Dennis Williams. Graham. Picked out of mid-air by Les Boyd in number 12. Broadhurst. Taken around the legs by Papouche. A couple of metres on the Australian side of the halfway now. That's Olsen Filipina. He's made a break. Lulawai's with him. Lulawai's back there, and he's overrun the ball. Percival says play on, and he starts the tackle count again. The New Zealand crowd roaring now as New Zealand appear as though they may score. Well, that was deliberately forward, that pass. Dennis Williams now, a couple of metres inside the 22. Tony Cole. Broadhurst. Edkins. Barry Edkins, the second rower, about 9 metres out from the line. On the blind side, Dane O'Hara. Brentnell over the top, Anderson down below. The Australians defending stoutly now. 7-0 they lead, but the New Zealanders are looking for a try. The bomb by Williams. And Dowling's lost it, but it's gone over the dead ball line, and it'll be a line drop out. Two at Carlaw Park, as you can see. And that's the terrace side of the ground, basking in sunshine. The other side, very much on the cold side. Gordon Smith, inside the 22. Taken by Cronin. Back to Filipina. Filipina's 10 metres out. Tackled by Brentnell. Graham can't take the pass. Picked up by Broadhurst. Tackled by Raudonikis. Throws it and hopes. Picked up by Kevin Tamati. Dowling's there in defence with Rod Morris. And they're 12 metres out, New Zealand. Trailing 7-0, but throwing on the attack. Tony Cole. Met and tackled in centre field. That's the 10-metre line out from the Australian goal. Williams. A flick pass to Graham. And Graham is 5 metres Price again has possession for Australia. Some anxious football by the New Zealanders, and breaking down at the vital moment.
They seem to be panicking a bit when they get this close to the line, though.
Cronin put down on the far side of the field, about 3 metres inside his own 22. Craig Young. Raudonikis, ready. Boyd. Paponis. Cronin. He had a good long look at the line and fires for it. Down to Dane O'Hara, who takes it. And a heavy tackle by Young over the top. Raudonikis down low. That's the halfway line. Barry Edkins. Williams. Broadhurst. Good football by Broadhurst. That's Tony Cole. Looking for a runner. Gordon Smith has put it to ground. He took a very heavy knock too as he was tackled by Craig Young. That's Graham Quinn going in from the left wing. And cut down neatly by Graham. Raudonikis. Boyd. So we've had one try in the match, and that was off an intercept. As New Zealand are penalised in the tackle, not getting off the tackled player. And Percival is enforcing that rule very much so today. 6-3 the penalties to the home country. And Cronin's kick for touch is a beauty. A big gain of around 35 metres. And the place free kick will be taken by Raudonikis just outside the New Zealand 22. A set move by the Aussies. Price is tackled right on the quarterway line. 10 metres in from touch on the old grandstand side. Raudonikis. Craig Young. Ready. Given to Cronin. Cronin looks for Brentnell. That's Brentnell in number 4. Stands up and looks to unload. Spirals his way out of a tackle. He's on the 22 playing it to Alan Thompson. Raudonikis calls for it. There's Raudonikis. Now Rod Morris is coming up on the left, but Raudonikis cut down by Lulawai. Morris's dummy half. Craig Young. Dowling's coming fast. There's Dowling about 7 metres inside the 22. Alan Thompson wants it. That's him. Now ready. Now Cronin. Going to ground, he passed, and, well, it's all very well from up here to say he shouldn't have. In the background, Dennis Williams and Ray Price have a disagreement. Now, Percival is going to put a scrum down. That's one of those passes, Kerry boasted, that we can watch and talk about for years to come if they come off.
One came off in the first test, as I remember, Ray.
Exactly right, from Ray Price, wasn't it, or Greg Brentnell? But they were
from Greg Brentnell to Ray Price, it was.
As Australia win the scrum. Raudonikis appeared to be tripped there. Reddy has gone to dummy half. Calls the blind side. Finds Gary Dowling again. Tacklers Mark Graham and Howie Tamati. Raudonikis. Thompson. Price. Hard tackle. Good tackle. Legitimate stuff. The two small men, in fact. Dennis Williams and Gordon Smith. Ready. Stepping. Getting it down to Chris Anderson. And Anderson is 11 metres out from the line. Australia continuing to lead. 7-0. 28 minutes gone. Thompson running to the right. Crabwise to Cronin. And then on to Gary Dowling. He beats Dane O'Hara. Comes back in field. And is tidied up about 8 metres out on the 5th tackle. Raudonikis calls for it. Standing left of the ruck. That's him with the ball. Raudonikis calls on Craig Young. The big man goes ahead. 10 metres out. Tries to slide the pass. Knocked down by New Zealand. Regained by Australia. And referee Percival is going to put a scrum down. Very close to the Kiwi line. And that's a very costly mistake. Scrums in test matches are so valuable, you can't afford to put the ball down on the first tackle, surely. O'Donnell, the fullback. Australia winning the scrum. Raudonikis to the open side, tries to split them. Had Thompson with him, couldn't get the pass away. Good defence by New Zealand. Coming onto it is Rocket Ready, gives it to Ray Price. Price tries to spin out of the tackle but can't. And he'll play the ball back to Alan Thompson. Thompson scored a try from this position in the first test. Ready is standing blindside. Morris is going straight ahead and he runs into a brick wall of defence. A metre out from the line. Australia 7, New Zealand 0. Price is the dummy half and he tries to go himself. Percival looks very closely at it and says he's short. Play it again. Morris is dummy half. They'll spin it this time, Australia. Price tries to go himself. Rod Morris dived for it. But Percival says grounded in goal by New Zealand and a line drop out.
New Zealand always seem to defend very well close to their line, Ray, and they leave gaps when they get about 30 yards out.
Yeah. Although, Kerry, that wasn't the case when Alan Thompson scored his try from dummy half in the first test. The water's open. It was almost incredible.
Superb dummy, that.
So here, the Australians are back on the attack just inside the 22-way line. Raudonikis, Boyd, coming up as Cronin, and Boyd takes the tackle and goes to the ground. Rod Morris is the dummy half. That's Craig Young. Ray Price in support. Price in 13 with the international numbering in the test matches. Calling for Alan Thompson. Now Raudonikis. Ready to the right. Cronin's going with him. Cronin's with him. And the ball has gone to the waiting arms of Olsen Filipina. James Luluai. And beautifully tackled by Raudonikis. Just outside the 22. Graham. Held safely by Morris. Boyd over the top. Tamati. The front rower in this test now. Kevin Tamati. Broadhurst. We're about 9 minutes out from half-time. Long pass by Williams to Luluai, and Graham Quinn makes the tackle with Tommy Raudonikis. O'Donnell, the fullback, taking it to ground. It's the end of 6.
We're not seeing the kicking game that we expected from Williams as yet.
Dennis Williams playing in his 30th test match, as I said earlier. And it's a scrum won by the Kiwis. And the lock forward, Mark Graham, taking it 10 metres short of halfway. Barry Edkins reaching the halfway mark. Broadhurst. And he's held about 10 metres on the Australian side of the halfway. 7-0 in favour of Australia. Tony Cole acting as the pivot. And Kevin Tamati tackled by Rod Morris. 10 metres on the Australian side of the halfway. Long ball out to Williams. Cuts out Filipina. It goes to O'Donnell, the fullback, and Cronin makes the tackle. Filipina dummy half. Broadhurst running on the blind side. Put down, parcelled up by Rod Reddy, and the end of 6 tackles. Raudonikis to put it in. Scrums are running Australia's way, 6-2 at the moment. Good effort by Peponis. He's lost this one, I think. Yes, it's coming out the New Zealand side, and running with it is the halfback Smith, who played 5/8 in the first test until Shane Varley was injured. And he's still out injured, Shane Varley, too, as a result of that injury suffered in the first test. This man is Tony Cole, and hit and put down by Craig Young. Kevin Tamati, about 9 metres out from the quarterway line. That's Broadhurst, having quite a strong game so far. The New Zealand pop forward. Williams showing it in one hand and then delivering the pass to Filipina. who regains possession for New Zealand, making a knock-on of it. Well, again, Kerry Boustead, one must say that the New Zealanders are defending much more stoutly than we've seen, or we did see in the first test when you were out there as a participant and not a spectator, as you are now.
Yes, Ray, they're going very well. They're also attacking a lot better than they did in the first game also.
Dowling making his presence felt. Put down by Brentnell, picked up by Dowling effectively and given away to Anderson. And he's tackled on the far side of the field, about 8 metres on the Australian side of the halfway. Dowling again. He did well to get back and retrieve possession for the Australians, Dowling, after Brentnell was hit very hard. So it's Dowling playing it to Price. Raudonikis wanting it. Reddy standing out wide. Cronin's with him. He'll pop the pass to Cronin. He couldn't get it away. Very dangerous man, Reddy, if he's allowed to get those arms free. Craig Young. Rod Morris. Australia now 10 metres onto the New Zealand side of halfway as Brentnell goes to dummy half. Raudonikis, Thompson, Cronin. There's a gap out there and an overlap, and he's put Ray Price through it. Going with him is Gary Dowling on the inside, Anderson on the outside. That's Anderson with the ball now. He's met by Filipina and tackled a few metres out from the 22. Raudonikis, Craig Young, dummies and spins around in the tackle, picked up on the volley by Cronin, and he's pulled down by Kevin Tamati. That's the end of 6, and so a scrum will go down 10 metres away from the Kiwi 22. And it's a scrum won by Australia. Thompson tries to burrow between Graham and Williams. Ready. Back to Raudonikis. And the tackler was Dennis Williams, was Olsen Filipina. Les Boyd has Brentnell with him on the outside. And Boyd has taken play about 12 metres out from the line. Brentnell is the dummy half. Coming onto it is Rod Morris. Morris in number 10 for Australia. Almost through. And he'll play the ball 7 metres out. Raudonikis wants it to go to the right now. He could switch the point of the attack, though. They're fanned on both sides, the Australians. It's out to Thompson. Thompson gives the pass away to Reddy. They won't stop the big man. Reddy going in for Australia's second try.
Great bit of play by Thompson.
He's a master tactician, really, Thompson. He's so cool, calm and collected. He just stands back and sort of directs the traffic like a policeman, really, doesn't he?
There's no better 5'8" around at this present time, that's for sure.
He can certainly throw a pass, Alan Thompson, and let's see it on the disc replay. Network 10 Sport. Second Australian try in the second test, taking Australia to a 10-0 lead. Thompson ran very wide, looking for Reddy, and he found him coming up through a defence that opened up compared with what we have seen from the New Zealanders in the opening 35 minutes. The try scorer, Rod Reddy, and the scoreline, Australia 10, New Zealand 0. Here's the try again as it appeared to the head-on onlooker. Thompson, a beautiful pass to Reddy. Yes, it certainly put that scoreline looking much more healthy as Cronin takes the attempted conversion. There it is, head-on. In fact, he's just pushed it wide. In fact, the head-on camera's got a very good view of Cronin from head-on. The kick-off by O'Donnell, going down to Gary Dowling, a big kick. And the Parramatta fullback brings it out about 5 metres from the 22. Les Boyd.
Les Boyd doing a lot of work there so far today too.
Raudonikis, Price. They keep going blindside. Rod Morris has lost it. He's regained possession for the Australians, making a knock-on of his own work, which is better than offering up possession to the opponents. This man has had a big impact on the game, Dennis Williams, just being obscured in number 6, but he's settled the New Zealand attack down. Though it's broken down, as I've said a couple of times, at vital moments, it hasn't been the fault of Dennis Williams. A penalty to the NZers. It's against Raudonikis for an incorrect feed. And referee Jack Percival gives him a clear indication of what he did wrong. It's 7-3, the penalties running to New Zealand. And the offender, the little master. Just looking over at the Australian bench. The Australian reserves flanking their manager and coach, and the kick is unsuccessful. And so the scoreline remains at 10-0, with that man being unsuccessful with the attempted penalty. Siren sounding, and referee Percival calls a halt to the first 40 minutes, with Australia's tries being scored by Cronin at the 8th minute and Reddy at the 35th minute, with Cronin kicking 2 goals from 3 attempts, and the score repeating 10-0, with the penalties running New Zealand's way 7-3. The scrums, they favour Australia 8-3, so Peponis is having a big day in the scrums. So the second half about to get underway with Mick Cronin to kick off for Australia, running left to right. John Percival asks of the two captains, are you ready? Time is blown on, and Australia resume with this lead of 10 points to 0. Fisher will play the ball about 15 metres out from his own line, and going away with it is Howie Tamati, the hooker, in number 9. That's Mark Broadhurst, about to play it back to Kevin Tamati, and they're going to use the same tactics as the Australians. They put the kick in down 12 metres onto the Australian side of the halfway. Gary Darling, with his right wrist fairly heavily bandaged, is put down by Fisher, and he'll play it back to Ray Price, Parramatta clubmate. Graham Quinn, one of the many St George players in this touring party. Rodonicus, Thompson, Young putting it on the ground, and it's a New Zealand ball. Broadhurst. Rodonicus and Young making the tackle. Tony Cole. Young making the low tackle. Rod Morris over the top. Players on the halfway line. Graham. And popping it back to Elson Filipina, who knocks on, and a scrum will go down just onto the Australian side of the halfway mark. What do you suppose Frank Stanton may have said to the Australians, Kerry Bowstead?
I think I'd say he would have said to tighten up the defence a lot, and to mainly just hold on to that ball. If we do that, I think we can penetrate.
That ball locked in there for a moment. Now Australia's way, Thompson. And the Australian pivot is put down by his opposite number. Rodonicus, Ray Price, Reddy, taken by Williams, who's got through a tremendous amount of work at 5/8 for the Kiwis. Rod Morris running blindside, but he's cut out with that pass to Brentnell. Australia inclined to bunch a little bit. Rodonicus, Les Boyd, Rodonicus is up the centre. The little fellow going down towards the 22. Peponis put down by Cronin, or knocked down by New Zealand probably. Yes, it was. Picked up by the wing three-quarter Fisher. One of the New Zealanders coming back was able to get a hand down for that, and it saved a certain three-pointer. Williams. This is Tony Cole. And Craig Young makes the tackle with Ray Price. Graham. That's a good tackle around the legs by George Peponis. Broadhurst. Almost to the halfway. Intercepted by Reddy. 12 metres out from the 22. Tackler was again Dennis Williams. Alan Thompson. Boyd's on his outside. He pops it round the corner to Boyd. Boyd getting away from a couple of very feeble attempts at tackle, but there's the Australians putting it to ground. all standing around in a clump. Alan Thompson spears through his own players and is tackled 10 metres out from the 22, again by Williams. He's making a tremendous amount of tackles for the NZers. Brentnell running off a Cronin pass. Anderson going to the inside. And here we are just outside the 22 as that wide shot shows. Raudonikis knocked backwards. Thompson, Cronin, quick ball ready. Now it's with Dowling. Dowling getting those big legs working. He's inside the 22, but he's run away from the support of Graham Quinn, who came to the inside. But Australia well and truly on the attack inside the quarter-way line. Raudonikis giving it to Reddy. Reddy fending off a tackle and then giving it to Cronin. Cronin looks around for Reddy, gives it to him, but it's gone across the face of Reddy, and it's a New Zealand ball. Kevin Tamati, driven back by Graham Quinn and St George teammate Craig Young. Broadhurst, inclined to run across the field, and then giving it back to Filipina. Filipina making a big run, down to the halfway, got the pass to Lulaway. Lulaway taken by Thompson. Good cover by Thompson. The New Zealanders now trying to force home the advantage of the Australians being at 6s and 7s. And Tony Cole is held by Rod Morris just outside the quarter-way line. Broadhurst. That's Barry Edkins, number 12. Kevin Tamati unable to take it. And that's an Australian ball. Is it on the 22, or is Percival going to put a scrum down? Well, there's your answer. New Zealand coming up with possession, so Percival ruling a knock-on. And the scrum going down on the old grandstand side. Olsen Filipina, the man who made that long break.
Incidentally, Ray, Olsen Filipina was run down then by Les Boyd.
Yes, yes. Tom Bellew with the ABC commentary team, and Jim Coleman in the bench area.
Jim Caldwell.
Jim Caldwell.
Right.
My apologies. I did hesitate before I said it because I couldn't think of the surname quickly enough. Thank you, Kerry, for that.
I couldn't let you go past that. It's from North Queensland.
That's a good-looking kick. Yes, it's 2 points to New Zealand. The goal kicker, Michael O'Donnell, and that was a good kick from wide out. And the scoreline, Australia 10, New Zealand 2. A shot there of some of the Australian spectators here at Carlaw Park with the Frank Hyde annual pilgrimage. As we find Barry Edkins tackled by George Paponis. Williams. The two front rowers for Australia letting the New Zealand 26-year-old veteran. And you might say, how can a 26-year-old be a veteran? He's playing in his 30th test, and he started his international career at the age of 16. As Thompson goes away with it for Australia. Boyd. He's 10 metres out from the quarter-way line. Ready. Letting it go to Raudonikis, who fends off one or two before being pulled down by Mark Graham. Young, Morris, and he's met by Broadhurst and Kevin Tamati. Play is a metre or so out from the 22. On the New Zealand end, Price pulled down by Mark Graham and by Mark Broadhurst. They've done their job today, both those players. Raudonikis to Thompson. Pops it up beautifully for Reddy, but Reddy's well tackled. Dowling's gone to dummy half. Thompson again. Kick. Calling the tune, Alan Thompson, like the conductor of an orchestra. And forced by the Kiwis for the line drop out to restart. We're looking for the electronic sales and rentals and national man of the match, our usual man of the match prize, which is one very much valued by the players. Cronin marking it on the full and giving it to Raudonikis, who steps inside one, takes play 11 metres out. Williams over the top, Graham down below. Paponis' dummy half. Australia putting it together. Boyd up the centre. Well taken by Mark Graham. A swinging arm there from one of the other New Zealanders. It was the fullback O'Donnell. Boyd to play it to Paponis. Out to Raudonikis. A long ball out to Thompson. Thompson taken by Smith. And he'll play the ball just inside the 22. New Zealand defending stoutly. Morris and Reddy working it. Reddy with the ball. Shrugging off one tackle. And he plays it on the 22 to Paponis. Raudonikis. Back to Price. Tackle by Broadhurst. Last tackle for the Australians. Raudonikis. Cronin. Thompson. Brent Knoll. Brent Knoll taken nicely out there by Barry Edkins. I must say, Kerry Boustead, I didn't comment in the first 40 minutes because I didn't want to put a hex on the match, but it's been a cleaner test than I expected, and I think just about everybody covering this match for the media.
Yes, there's no hard feelings in this. We've played most of these players at least 2, maybe 3 times in the tour because we play most of the major sides.
Yes.
And there seemed to be no bad feeling crept into it at all, right?
Well, I thought coming out of the first test that there might have been quite a bit of spite in this test match, and it was forecast very freely, especially when John Percival was appointed as referee, but such has not been the case. It's been, I would say, a reasonably clean test.
Yes, right, I agree.
In fact, I don't think there's been one caution handed out. Howie Tamati. Tackler was Boyd. Playing it to Tony Cole. Williams. Looking for that touchline. It's going down to find it, is it? Yes! Oh, what a magnificent kick. That's a magnificent kick by Dennis Williams. He's gained, I'd say, 45 metres with a perfect kick in general play. So the Kiwis now inside the Australian 22. The scrum, and Williams gives it to Filipina. He beats Cronin. Shrugs off the attempt from Alan Thompson and is held by Greg Brentnell. Ray Price is now across in cover. Filipina will play it to Smith. Goes ahead. Back to Smith. This is Graham. Graham looking for a run out. Can't find one. Goes ahead and it's a penalty to New Zealand. Correct ruling. Correct ruling from Percival, and this New Zealand crowd starting to feel that maybe the Kiwis have got a chance. They're trailing 10-2, we're 12 minutes gone, second half. He should get this though. It's certainly nowhere near as difficult as his previous successful penalty. Michael O'Donnell, the fullback and goal kicker, picked up by our ground cameras, and now our head-on camera showing you what it looks like from behind the uprights. A loose surface is the way the commentators here in New Zealand are describing today's Carlaw Park pitch. And that kick is spot on, straight between the uprights. Very accurate goal kicking in this test match. Australia leading New Zealand 10-4. And that big crowd there on the terrace side of the ground, as I said earlier, warmed by the sunshine, but warmed even more now by the comeback by the Kiwi to restart. Sending it very deep to the halfback Smith. Cole. Cut down around the legs by Morris, who has had an unhappy day as far as handling is concerned, but gee, he's done some tackling, Rod Morris. Dennis Williams. saying let's play percentage football, and that includes playing the game in your opponent's territory. Alan Thompson takes it to ground. Craig Young is the dummy half. That's Graham Quinn. That's good wing football. I like to see a big winger, a fresh winger, getting in and taking some of the workload off his forwards. Man sitting next to me often does it. Ray Price. Almost on the halfway line, as you can see. Raudonikis. Thompson. Ready. Oh, Cronin, I beg your pardon. That's Darling. And Darling is not held, just on the New Zealand side of the halfway. Thompson. Cronin. Becoming more involved in the second half is Mike Cronin, though he scored that try in the first half. Thompson just popping it up to Craig Young, who in turn gives it to Raudonikis, who finds a little gap, and he almost scoots through, and a scrum to go down just outside the New Zealand 22. By gee, I think Alan Thompson and Rod Reddy are both having big games in this match, especially Thompson, Kerry.
Yes, Thompson, well, he had a big one last match too. I think he's just that good a player. Keeps producing at each match.
Now, referee Percival is calling timeout. The ambulance men on there for Broadhurst, who makes out that he's suffering from, I think, cramp. But I have a sneaking suspicion they were just going for a little bit more oxygen.
Often the case, Ray.
Well, there hasn't been very many periods in this match where they haven't been asked to do something, as Dowling stands as the pivot for Raudonikis and then is thrust to the ground by you-know-who, Mark Graham. Price. We haven't seen too many of those incredible breaks from Ray Price in 1980. And the scrum for losing the ball. Mr. Perpetual Motion, as he's called. I still fancy that he's carrying an injury. He certainly isn't the same player this year as he was last.
I think with Ray's trouble is that I think the defence is starting to work out what he's doing, and I think they're making up for it.
Yeah, and you maintain that applies right across the board, back home and on this tour?
Yes.
Interesting comment from Kerry Bowstead. As New Zealand get a dubious scrum win, Dane O'Hara takes it on the inside, but Les Boyd had broken from the scrum pretty quickly to tidy him up. And referee Percival says play on, as Dane O'Hara plays the ball again. Broadhurst. Flung to the ground there by Price. Don't get me wrong with that comment on Ray Price, but unfortunately, when you become a champion or a superstar, people look to you to do a touch of the like fantastic. He's playing quite well, but without the same impact as he had last year. Good football by the Kiwis as they make the ball really do the work. Kevin Tamati, taken by Chris Anderson, got a good pass away. That's Gordon Smith across the paddock. Luluai. Luluai is cut down by Morris. Rod Morris in cover with Brentnell. They're starting to look good, the New Zealanders. Smith, Kevin Tamati, Dane O'Hara, Alan Thompson in cover. He got him. Good tackle by Thompson. End of 6. That's good football. Thompson's hurt. When he made that tackle, the big crowd would have seen it just as you might have. His head went under the player. He didn't get the head to one side as the book would tell you to. He in fact went underneath the body of Dane O'Hara, and his head was underneath the ball carrier when he finished the tackle. But it was I'm not going to say a try-saving tackle. There was one other Australian there, but it was a good piece of defence from Alan Thompson, who seems okay under the watchful eye of Alf Richards. And talking of test veterans, my God, that man's covered some tests, hasn't he? Alf Richards. He's covered more ground than the early explorers.
He certainly knows what he's up to too, right?
Tomo is okay, so that's good news for Australia and for Manly. As, I fancied that Raudonikis won that race for the ball, but Percival wants it again. Same tunnel. Keen duel in the scrum, but Peponis is still on top. Another scrum win of Peponis, and Anderson has lost it. It's New Zealand on the attack. Inside the 22, Dennis Williams looking, standing, down to Edkins, back to Broadhurst, and he's 9 metres out. 9 metres from the Australian line. Smith is the dummy half. That's Williams, a long, bad pass, taken in by Tamati, given out to O'Donnell, and he's held. Referee Percival Lowe has given a penalty, offside Australia. And a very good opportunity for the Kiwis to come back to 10-6.
I think the Kiwis may have preferred to run that one out, I think.
So the scoreline 10-4, but a very good opportunity for Mike O'Donnell to bring the scoreline to 10-6, and then a converted try could see a New Zealand test victory, which would then force a third test, which I'm told will be played later in 1980. O'Donnell, the goal kicker, chooses to use the vertical placement of the ball. More or less the old-fashioned way, I suppose you could say, of kicking the ball. I remember a good goal kicker from England. I fancy it was Neil Fox, who also stood the ball upright. Got a tremendous amount of distance, and that kick is wide. Oh, gee, that's a costly miss by Mike O'Donnell. The score remaining 10-4 in favour of Australia, but had it been 10-6 here on their own ground before their own spectators, anything could have happened from 10-6. But 10-4 is a more comfortable score for the Australians. The drop by Cronin. This is Fisher, the winger, and he'll play out a metre on his own side of the halfway. 20 minutes gone, second half. Filipina. Luluai, his centre partner, Broadhurst. Got a long pass out to Dennis Williams. They're thin over there, Australia. Luluai is tackled by the winger Graham Quinn, who had to take the odds to it. There was an overlap and Quinn came in to take the ball carrier. Broadhurst. Some of the Australian defence today has been shown up as rather brittle. Luluai putting it down, and there again a voluntary error by the New Zealanders at crucial moments in the match, keeping them at 10-4 down. The scrum is right midway between the halfway and the 22 on Australia's end of the field. Thompson, a long pass to Cronin, but the Australian backs were standing very flat, very shallow, and Cronin was, as you could see, standing flat-footed. Well taken by Price. Put down by Broadhurst. 9 metres on the Australian side of the halfway. Well, he's offside, surely. Percival agrees as he gives the penalty to Australia. Penalties 10-4 to New Zealand. I suppose that's not too bad, really. As Greg Brentnall comes in to take the line kick and finds it with a good kick. 9 metres out from the 22. So let's see if the Australians can put an attacking raid together. Modonicus taking it. It's a set move. Boyd up to the 22. Grodonicus. Thompson ready. Away from a tackler. Back to Thompson. Thompson, he's lost it. Makes a knock on of it. And a scrum will go down just outside the quarterway line, New Zealand's end.
A lot of chances have gone begging today, Ray, both for the Australians and the New Zealand sides.
Fair comment from Kerry Bowstead, the injured wing three-quarter, out of this match today, replaced by Graham Quinn. That man with the whistle, John Percival, the last time I saw him was in a memorable match in Wales, Swansea, in fact. A World Cup match. You reckon there wasn't some fisticuffs in that match? And a penalty for feet across against the Australians.
I'd like to see a bigger gap in that score, getting this close to the end of the match.
Yes, it's got a few Australians sitting on the side of their benches, I would think. Oh, that's costly. Dowling's in the field of play. He was out of the field of play, and then he was back in it. Well, now the touch judge has gone in, and a penalty to New Zealand for obstruction.
Again, the touch judge has gone in where it's highly unusual.
He didn't run in when I called that deliberate forward pass earlier on.
Strange you should mention that, Ray.
That was blatant. Anyway, it's Broadhurst now. And another penalty to New Zealand. Well,
there's that touch judge again.
They're going to take the kick. Why wouldn't they? There's plenty of time left. 15 minutes, in fact, remaining in the match. And 10-4 the score. O'Donnell missing with an earlier attempt, which was, at the time, I described costly, and I stick by that. As again, we give you that worm's eye view of the proceedings. And the newest thing on Carlaw Park, those blades of grass that saw their first sunshine this morning. The head-on cherry picker shot, and the kick is beautiful. It's a goal, and the Kiwis are back in this ball game. 10-6 Australia. The crowd on the terraces, they sense that maybe the home side has a chance of bringing off one of the rugby league shocks of the last 10 or 20 years. Boyd. By the same token, win, lose or draw this match, it augurs good for the Kiwis with their tour of England coming up. Morris bulldogging his way ahead. He'll play it to George Peponis. Alan Thompson, Tom Raudonikis, Rod Reddy, away from a high tackle by Dennis Williams, one of the few flaws in his game. But then again, how else would you take Rod Reddy? He's such a dangerous man if you let him get the ball away. Thompson, a long pass, beautifully directed to Ray Price. He's looking on both sides, and then gives it to Graham Quinn, who's about 9 metres out from the line. The New Zealanders try to force him into touch. Touch judge Kevin Steele over on the far side, looking pretty closely at the situation. Well, there's no dummy half. Price did well to get back. In fact, crawl back, but it's a penalty to New Zealand. And he's ruled that Price was offside, Percival, and I'm not about to argue with him.
I think that if the ball goes backwards, how can he be offside, Ray?
Well, no, I think he's claiming that Ray Price was offside in the play of the ball and then came back and got involved in the game. Ray actually crawled back to pick the ball up, Kerry.
That's right.
I think you'll find that's the way he's ruled. Sometimes very hard to understand rules overseas. They're different signals quite often. You've already seen for yourself what touch judges can do over here, as they can in France, which is quite strange. This is Tony Cole, just outside the quarterway line. He'll play it to Mark Graham. And he's held low by Raudonikis, high by Price. And that hurt. And it was probably the tackle over the top from Price that did the damage. It didn't seem to me as though it was an illegal tackle, but it was certainly a heavy one from Price. Well, the New Zealanders have made a replacement with Graham West going on as Mark Graham receives attention. I'd be inclined to be throwing Graham Wynn on. at this time. He's the sort of player who could really create problems for a tired Kiwi pack. Giant of a man who must be an awful sight bearing down on top of you.
That's right, Ray. He's not a pretty sight, that's for sure.
In fact, I see he's warming up too now, Kerry, so we might see both of the reserves come on, Steve Martin and Graham Wynn, as the scrum packs in centre field 10 metres out from the Kiwi 22.
Steve Martin's been playing some very good football on tour also.
He's got a problem waiting for him back in Australia. There's a young kid called Chisholm who's
so we keep telling him.
made a very big nuisance of himself, let me tell you, if you're Steve Martin. Well, Percival's not happy with this scrum. And it's another clean heel to George Paponis. This is Raudonikis going open side, running into Smith, the halfback. And now it's Rod Reddy. And the St. George utility forward is stopped on the 22-way line. 10 minutes from full time. 10-6 the scoreline in favour of Australia. Craig Young taken to ground by West, the fresh Kiwi in 15. Young goes ahead, looks to unload, couldn't get the pass around the corner to Paponis. Raudonikis calls for it. That's him. Now Thompson. Now Cronin. The run round, the dummy, and back to Dowling. Good set move by the Aussies. Dowling's lost it though to Filipina, and it's Dax on the mill, with New Zealand coming up with it through Tony Cole. And driven back as Kevin Tamati, a three-man Australian tackle. Broadhurst is the dummy half. Goes himself, turns it back to Howard Tamati it was. This is Graham West. A tackle stung West over the top from Young. Graham, Filipina, and he's on his own quarter-way line and wrestled to the ground by Cronin. Smith, Williams, a little kick for Lulawai, and it's taken by Brentnell beautifully and given quickly to Graham Quinn, who turns it on the outside to Dowling. Dowling is racing down to the 22 and tackled just inside that line.
Great save by Brentnell.
Thompson, ready. Graham Quinn. Thrown to the ground by Broadhurst. George Paponis to dummy half. Raudonikis turned it on the inside to Les Boyd. Boyd gave the pass to Rod Morris. Back to Boyd. That's a great try. Oh, that's a sensational piece of work by Boyd and Morris. That's a green and gold try scored by Les Boyd. And it came with the very great assistance of Rod Morris. See it again on the action replay.
Well deserved by Boyd. He's been doing a lot of work.
So it came out to Raudonikis, who turned it as he heard the call from Boyd. He then turned it again, Boyd, to Morris, and that pass from Morris was a beauty, 2 meters out, and then Boyd picked it up very well. This is the try as it happened from the cherry picker at the far end. There's the final pass from Morris.
It's going to make the score very hard to catch now.
Yes, I think that's tally. Kerry with 13-6 Australia, and Cronin with this kick from practically right in front.
Only 6 minutes to go.
Well, Frank Stanton now will, I would think, almost surely throw his replacements on as Cronin adds the extras. And Australia lead by 15 points to 6. You're watching Network 10 Sport throughout Australia. So the restart from Dennis Williams, sending it down to Gary Dowling.
Gary Dowling running very hard onto the ball.
Yes, he's had another good game here today, Gary Dowling. We're looking for the Electronic Sales and Rentals National Man of the Match again in this test match. And I won't hesitate in co-opting the assistance of Kerry Bowstead in naming that man at the end of the game.
It's going to be very hard to pick.
Yes, and I must admit I don't mind throwing the responsibilities around to players like yourself and Graham Quinn from the first test, because it's never an easy task, but from guys such as yourselves, it's always a valued opinion. Not that I'm necessarily going to agree with it, but Gary Bowstead will certainly have his tuppence worth in the award as the Australians take the place kick, and that's Graham Quinn getting a nice old facial from Kevin Tamati. Morris, and he's just outside the 22. Alan Thompson, and he's a couple of metres out from the quarterway line, Thompson, as he plays it back, and this is Craig Young. Ready. Intercepted by West. Luluai. As New Zealand go on the attack right down that flank. That's Kevin Fisher, taken about 12 metres out. The ball has been lost. Percival says play on, and he starts the tackle count again. And a penalty to New Zealand, interfering with the man in possession in the play the ball. And Percival telling the Australians to get back out of the zone. Now he's come right across, and given a penalty practically in front of the uprights, because Chris Anderson had his, and Greg Brantnell had their feet over the goal line. Oh, and now tempers fray a little. Dennis Williams and Les Boyd. Percival telling them to get back behind the goal line.
I don't think it's going to matter much if he penalises them again now, Ray.
So Broadhurst takes the tap. A long lofted pass across for Kevin Tamati. 10 metres out. Cut down by Rod Morris. Broadhurst turning it back to West. And they're 5 metres from the line. The Kiwis anxious to touch down against the Australians. A penalty. High tackle. It was a slap across the face, really, that Alson Filipina received. Certainly nowhere near a tackle which could be described as a stiff arm. It was simply a hand slap across the face. It's with Graham out to Smith. If he could have passed that ball, there was a try on. It's with Mark Graham now, and he's tackled by Chris Anderson. And another 6 tackles for the New Zealanders. Ball being played back to Tamati, the front rower, through the hands of his brother onto the ground for Gordon Smith, and he's held there by Alan Thompson on the Australian 22. Broadhurst, Filipina, a chance, but he couldn't give that pass to West. Penalty, is it? The sound of Percival's whistle, and he sent Les Boyd off. Marched Les Boyd for, I would imagine, repeated infringements. And Jim Lease embraces Boyd as he goes to the dressing room. Another penalty. Another one of the New Zealanders. Now Craig Young is saying, for heaven's sakes, what have we got to do to get out of this? I think Craig copped one in the eye as he went into the tackle. Now he goes in himself and makes sure of a tackle. Dennis Williams will play the ball. 12 metres out from the Australian line. This man is Olsen Filipina. Tried to get the pass down for Kevin Tammy. Another penalty to New Zealand. Fair dinkum, this bloke is giving them a carve up now. He is giving them a nice old how do you do now. They've gone 17-5 ahead in the penalties, the Kiwis.
I think he's left his run too late.
The scoreline 15-6, a minute to go. As Williams unloads for Lulawai, who puts it down. What? No penalty? No penalty. Heavens above. I'm shocked. So, it's Gary Darling to play the ball for Australia. George Paponis on the 22. Ready. Rodonicus is, I thought he might have caught one on the back play. He's not, though. He's okay. Craig Young. Out to Mick Cronin. Oh, Graham Quinn has been felled in the back play. Cronin is going downfield. Brendel coming up on the inside. There's Brendel. He looks for Anderson, but it's a bad pass. And a scrum will go down 10 metres out from the New Zealand 22 line.
Anderson limping badly on the side here too, Ray. He's had a nagging ankle injury for a while now.
Chris Anderson.
Yes.
And there's the siren sounding in the background. The second test is over. Won by Australia by 15 points to 6. 15 points to 6, Australia defeating New Zealand in this test match. A test match that had its moments with Mike Cronin, Rod Reddy and Les Boyd scoring the tries. Cronin kicking 3 out of 4 for New Zealand. Mike O'Donnell kicked 3 out of 5. The scrums, they went to Australia 13-6, the scrums to George Paponis. And the penalties, they went to 17-5 at the finish in favour of New Zealand. I'll be back in just a moment with our Electronic Sales and Rentals National Man of the Match. But in closing off, let me say thank you to Kerry Bowstead for sharing the commentary with me here from Carlaw Park this afternoon.
Thanks a lot, Ray.
Kerry Bowstead, our co-commentator today. And as I said, we'll take this break with Australia winning 15 points to 6. And then I'll be back with the announcement of the man of the match. 15 points to 6 in favour of Australia, and therefore the test series wrapped up by the green and golds. The performance not all that impressive, I suppose you're entitled to say that, but then again the New Zealanders, they put it up to Australia more so today at Carlaw Park. They're a jaded lot, I feel, the Australians, and that very much is the feeling in the dressing room, that their performance wasn't as good as they would like, but you can't do any more than win, and they've done that with their 2-test victory over New Zealand in the space of a fortnight. The Man of the Match Award, the Electronic Sales and Rentals and National Man of the Match Award, it's one that, as I said during the commentary with Kerry Bowstead, is valued by the players, and I'll have the man that I've given that award to in just a moment with me, but firstly, here's Joe Hasham. Hasham there explaining what the prize involves from Electronic Sales and Rentals and the national people. It's a good prize, and it's been won by Alan Thompson, the 5/8 for Australia today. Congratulations.
Thanks very much, Ray.
Is that the first time I've been able to give you the award?
No, that's the first time you did give me the award, mate.
I see. Alan, it wasn't, as I said, over-impressive, the Australian performance, and I did suggest that maybe the side is a fraction jaded. Am I right?
Yeah, well, there was a few injuries in the side too, but we stuck to our tasks the best we could. In the last few minutes there, we held them trialless, and that's what we set out to do, and it was a good win overall.
Is it a fair comment, Alan, to suggest that when you're a champion, and I said this about Ray Price in the telecast, people expect more of you, and maybe that's what's going wrong at the moment with the Australian way of thinking?
Naturally, we knew that. They're all trying to knock us off. There was rumours around that the points were 20-point start for anyone to take a bet.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, they expect us to win by 20 points. But we're happy. We win by 1 point. That's a win to us, and we're still unbeaten as far as we're concerned.
Right on. Alan, in those dying minutes of the test match where the penalty count was read out very strongly against you, what was going on out there? It was almost chaos at one stage.
Well, you know, we were defending our line. We don't give up our line easy, and we were just trying to keep him out. You know, he kept giving them the chance. So we didn't care how many penalties he gives them. It was taken time off them, so that was their fault, really, not ours.
Anyway, Alan, again, congratulations. I'm glad to be able to give you the prize on behalf of Electronic Sales and Rentals and National, because it's a good prize and you're a good player.